The story begins with a U.S. Marine named Mike who says goodbye to a girl at the airport before leaving for his next mission in a helicopter. In the next scene, Mike and his spotter Tommy are sitting on a cliff, keeping watch over the desert while waiting for their target to arrive. Tommy is talkative, while Mike is serious and quiet by nature. They spot a group of people walking on foot from one direction and armed vehicles approaching from the other. Their target is Syed Asif, a 65-year-old terrorist. The officers on the radio and Tommy both tell Mike to take the shot, but Mike realizes the people have gathered for a wedding. The target is likely the groom's father. Things become complicated when the bride and groom stand in front of the target. Mike is ordered to shoot the groom to reach the target, but he refuses to kill an innocent man. Instead, he lies, saying he's lost visual contact. Suddenly, their position is compromised and gunfire erupts. The target escapes while Mike and Tommy run for their lives under heavy fire. Their GPS breaks down, and they hide behind a rocky ridge. The enemy comes dangerously close, but Mike cleverly creates a diversion that sends them the wrong way. After escaping, they radio their base for evacuation, but a sandstorm prevents the helicopter from reaching them. They're told the only way out is to walk across the desert to a village 5 hours away, where they can be picked up. They set out on foot, and during the scorching sun and raging sandstorms, Tommy tries to keep Mike's spirits up by talking about his son and occasionally teasing him. Mike remains silent and tense until Tommy pushes him to share what's bothering him. Mike admits he's afraid to propose to his girlfriend, Jenny. Tommy laughs, but reassures him. Marriage feels hard at first, he says, but over time, you learn how to make it work. As they talk, a warning sign, blown by the wind, lands near them. Mike remembers that over 33 million landmines were buried in this desert over the past 40 years. He takes it seriously, but Tommy dismisses it as a local scare tactic. Mike moves cautiously while Tommy keeps joking, walking backward to tease him. Suddenly, there's a click, then an explosion. Tommy has stepped on a landmine. The blast leaves Mike temporarily deafened. He takes one step forward and hears another click beneath his boot. He freezes. When the dust settles, Tommy is alive, but both his legs are blown off below the knees. Mike can't move, but tries desperately to calm him. Failing that, he reminds Tommy of his son, giving him a moment of peace. Tommy injects himself with morphine. Tommy tries to reach the radio, but is too weak to grab it. Seeing this, Mike insists on stepping off the mine, hoping it's an old, faulty one. Tommy yells for him to stop, and to make sure Mike doesn't move, points his gun at himself. He tells Mike he has to survive, and then shoots himself. Mike screams in anguish. Now he's alone, standing in the middle of the desert, 1 foot on a possible mine. Exhausted, he kneels without lifting his foot. To survive, he must reach the radio, lying several yards away. He ties his bootlace to a hatchet and uses it to drag the radio bag toward him. He finally reaches it, only to find the battery dead, and a spare battery is on Tommy's body. Frustrated but determined, Mike rigs up a makeshift solar charger and powers the radio enough to contact his officer. He begs for rescue, but the base says the sandstorm still makes it impossible to send helicopters. A convoy might reach him in 52 hours. Furious and hopeless, Mike listens as an officer suggests digging a hole in the sand and jumping. That way, he might lose only a leg, not his life. Mike ignores the advice, deciding he'll wait right there, and sets a 52-hour countdown on his watch. A violent sandstorm hits again, but Mike doesn't budge. When it clears, he sees Tommy's body has been blown closer by the wind, along with the spare battery, but now the radio has been dragged away. Time passes. Mike's water runs out. Dehydrated and delirious, he considers drinking his own urine, then spots a local Berber man walking toward him in a zigzag pattern. Mike warns him about the mines, but the man mockingly imitates his every move. Mike tries to explain his situation, but the man insists that Mike has to take the next step forward. He then picks up Mike's empty water bottle and disappears into the desert. Moments later, a young Berber girl appears, holding the same bottle, now filled with water. She silently hands it to Mike, who drinks desperately. Using her toy soldiers, she tries to show him that he should lift his foot and move ahead. Mike explains he can't move and asks her to bring the radio, but she doesn't understand. When he raises his voice in panic, she runs away. Night falls, and the desert grows cold. Mike lights a fire to stay warm. He hears wild animals nearby. Pulling out his phone, he watches Jenny's videos. She smiles and tells him she's waiting, that he must come back alive. Moved by her words, he fights off sleep, but wakes when the fire begins to die. He finds himself surrounded by wild animals. His gunshots don't scare them. The beasts drag Tommy's body away. As one lunges toward him, Mike shoots, hitting a landmine. The explosion scares off the rest. At dawn, the Berber man returns. He tells Mike he's very lucky to have survived the mine in the night. Once again, he urges him to take that step forward. Mike argues that the man must know exactly where the mines are since he always walks in zigzag patterns. The man replies, "No, I just avoid walking straight. Zigzag feels safer." Mike convinces him to fetch the radio. The man picks it up, places it within reach, and quietly leaves. Mike checks his watch. 24 hours left. His mind starts to unravel. He hallucinates that Tommy is alive again, urging him to hold on. As the sun sets, Mike reflects on his life, his violent father, his sick mother, his regrets about leaving Jenny. At night, the beasts return, more ferocious, undeterred by explosions. Mike fires blindly into the darkness, lost in his own thoughts. When dawn breaks, he sees the ground littered with their bodies. Despite his exhaustion, he's fought them all off. By now, Mike has been standing on the mine for 45 hours. Then a message crackles in. The rescue team is delayed. He must survive 17 more hours. Defeated, he says he can't do it anymore. The officer tells him someone wants to talk. It's Jenny. Hearing her voice, Mike breaks down, apologizing again and again for leaving her, for ruining everything, for destroying whatever he touches. In his hallucination, Jenny suddenly appears in front of him, sitting on a couch in the desert. He moves toward her and almost falls when the Berber man appears out of nowhere and catches him. The man treats his wounds and says he once stepped on a mine too and lost his leg. Back then, he thought his life was over. But later, he got married and had a daughter, and the pain began to fade. Mike tells him his daughter has a beautiful smile, just like his own. The man says quietly, "I don't have a daughter anymore." One day, while trying to replace real mines with harmless tin cans, she was killed in an explosion. Horrified, Mike listens as the man says he's thankful his daughter came and brought Mike water and courage. But now Mike truly has to move forward. The man disappears into the wind. Mike sees the little girl one last time before she fades into the sand. More hallucinations follow, flashbacks of his violent past and tender memories with Jenny. Just then, a message comes over the radio. The rescue team is nearby but needs his exact location. He must fire a flare. As he raises the flare, the terrorists appear again and start shooting from the hills. Explosions erupt as nearby mines go off, blowing the flare out of his hand. Wounded and weak, Mike remembers Jenny's voice and summons every ounce of strength he has left. He fires his sniper rifle at nearby mines, creating a chain of explosions that form a thick sand cloud, concealing him from the enemy. In that cover, he picks off all the terrorists one by one. The rescue team is close, but the flare lies several feet away. Mike recalls the Berber man's words, "You have to keep moving." Finally, he takes a deep breath and steps forward. No explosion. The mine was never real. It was an empty tin can, buried long ago, probably by the Berber's daughter, who replaced real mines with harmless ones to save lives. It all makes sense now. Throughout this ordeal, Mike was being taught that in life, too, he must take that step forward. That fear, not danger, was holding him back. Overwhelmed by relief and guilt, Mike collapses in terrors. He picks up the flare, fires it into the sky, and collapses to the ground as the rescue team spots him and pulls him out. Later, at the airport back home, Jenny waits with tears in her eyes. Mike walks up to her, kneels down, just as he'd done countless times in the desert, and proposes to her. He promises never to leave her again. Now, both of them can finally move forward in life. And as for you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support the journey. Thank you for watching.